Hey y'all, it's Kobe R. Rice, and I'm back again for another weekly creative update. This is episode number 89 of the epic fantastical journey of a Black female sci-fi writer. I am Kobe R. Rice, as I said before, and basically I am here to give you yet another installment of my creative milestones and achievements for not only the past quadrimester, which includes September, October, November, and December of this year, but also for the entire year of 2018. Now, I was going to make these two separate podcasts, honestly, and I just thought about it and I decided not to do that. One, because I'm giving you guys a yearly roundup. So, what's the point of doing the quadrimesterly roundup? Also, I didn't really have much time because my equipment and my internet and all this crazy stuff has just been happening with all of my tech this week. And so I'm just trying to minimize the workload as much as possible. So you guys will essentially get the quadrimesterly roundup, but it will be couched inside the creative achievements for 2018 roundup overall. Even crazier, actually, this podcast is being recorded after podcast number 90. And podcast number 90 is basically the creative goals that I have for 2019. So all of this stuff is just sort of crazily out of order. This week has just been insane. It's actually just become sort of tradition, actually, since I would say 2016 to now, for the first month of every single year to be just insane. Like, usually things just go wrong. I have to make like emergency trips places, or technology is not working. I don't know. January just never goes very smoothly for me. So I'm just getting used to it. It's just a part of the turbulence that I experience when a new year, a new flight takes off for me. So anyway, getting back to the main point, welcome. And I'm going to just be trying my best to blow through these updates and these milestones as quickly as possible. As you guys might recall, I believe last year's roundup was a 7-hour podcast because I did a lot of not only roundup and reflection stuff, but I also kind of I don't know even how to describe it, but emotionally spilled out my guts, like not in a sappy way, but like I gave a sort of blow by blow, play by play of each of my milestones and sort of how I grew creatively from that, which was great and wonderful. But even that in and of itself was way too long of a podcast, even for me, who is super long-winded. So this year, I'm keeping it short and simple, keeping it to the facts, and then I will have some reflection at the end of my roundup, at the end of my bullet points, but I'm not going to insert that for each particular sort of, let's say, set of achievements. At least I hope I'm not going to do that. Okay. So what did I get done in 2018? I divided the podcast up into a series of sections. So I'm going to talk about novel writing and publishing, TV writing and series development, research, world building and shadow development, directing, dramaturgy, reader and author relationships, marketing and platform building, professional development with regard to my personal creative uni, and then professional development with regard to graduate school. And then I'm going to give you guys an overall update on Rebel Ragdoll, my media fempire in progress, as well as its subsidiaries and what's going on with each of those. And then I'm going to end with my personal achievements, which I really feel like are a big part of how I define myself as an artist, as a creator, etc., because we are multidimensional and we basically, our personal lives will ultimately intertwine and have effects with our professional and creative lives. So so let's just gear up for that. Sorry if I seem a little scattered. I kind of am just trying to get all these things inside of an hour is going to be a real challenge for me. So just bear with me. Okay. So what did I get done with regard to novel writing and publishing achievements for 2018? And if you're wondering why I'm not looking at the screen, for those of you looking at this vlog, it's because I am looking at my phone as usual. So I'm not trying to be rude. So this year, I actually got quite a lot done, and I'm really excited with regard to novel writing and publishing. So I finished and published The Camille, which is a sci-fi femme-punk cyberpunk novella and the first episode of 50 in a serialized novel series, which I'm really excited about. I also finished and started editing The Lock-In, which is book number 3 of the Books of Ezekiel series. It's about 80,000 words, and I am in the middle of editing it right now, and that will be released at the end of January 2019. So I'm super excited about that. Was able to actually finish 2 completed works of fiction, and I'm aiming for even more in 2019. I also co-published and co-launched 2 box sets, rather 1 anthology and 1 box set. The first is the 2054 anthology, which included the Camille novella. And I did a lot of work around helping my collaborators to co-publish and co-launch the book. I'm usually the one who's at the head of the ARC team and the newsletter swap team. And that is a heck of a lot of work, getting advanced reviews and also getting other authors to promote our book in exchange for us promoting theirs at a later date. It seems straightforward and simple, but it's not. There are a lot of auto responders we have to set up, a lot of networking we have to do, lots of emails, lots of, getting graphics and, marketing packages together, a lot of, poking and prodding readers to finish the book and hurry up and review it already. So I'm really excited about that. And I actually did the same exact thing for this dystopian box set, this dystopian / cyberpunk box set called Uprising, and I collaborated on that with, I think it was 12 other authors, including 2 of my former collaborators. So that was really fun and exciting. But those co-publications and co-marketing, co-launching endeavors, I put on my list of accomplishments and achievements because it taught me a lot about marketing. I also was able to really become a leader in sort of creating these box set endeavors. And then on top of it, these 2 projects actually got me my, I would say, 4th notch on my, or actually not even, my 5th notch on my novel writing and publishing belt for this year, because both of these box sets combined helped me to become an Amazon best-selling author in 7 categories, including sci-fi anthologies, sci-fi short stories, cyberpunk, and I think also tech and info, which is kind of a random category. We also got on the Cyberpunk UK list and a couple of other lists. So that's really exciting. And to some authors out there who have already achieved like bigger list success, like New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and USA Today bestseller, this sort of thing might not be a big deal, but I wasn't an Amazon bestseller for the first 5 years of my author career, where I've been kind of just like treading water. And now with each year that I've been more and more active in getting out books and becoming a part of, anthologies and leading box sets myself, now I'm starting to see a lot of traction with regard to not only the growth of my relationships between readers and authors, but also in the growth of like my author prestige, so to speak. So this is the first year, in year number 5, the first year I saw an Amazon bestsellers list, aside from the fact that The Given, which is the first novel in my novel series, consistently keeps at or above 100 on the new adult and college sci-fi list. So that's really exciting for me and a really great milestone for me. And next year, I'm hoping to achieve the USA Today bestseller milestone. So we'll see. I also, even though I didn't publish the following series I'm about to list, I still worked on and wrote for the rest of the Books of Ezekiel series, the Asylum series, the Godsman series, the Camille novella series, the Hitman of Happily Ever After series, and another series that I just sort of came up with and got excited about called the 1% series, which that is not even anywhere near my radar, but I just needed to cleanse my palette a little bit, so I started writing something different. But I definitely worked on all those series throughout the entirety of 2018, and so I'm just giving myself some credit for adding my word count onto each of those series this year. Okay, so that is that section. Next section, what did I get done in world building, plotting, and development for 2018? So, one of my major goals for this year was to do a lot of shadow development. To this year, if you guys recall, amongst other sort of titles I gave this year, it was also entitled the Year of Shadow Development. Excuse me. So, I definitely engaged in that. So I did a lot of research, development, world building, story Bible development, plotting for, again, the Asylum series, the World of Never After, which includes the Hitman of Happily Ever After series, the For Never Foul series, and the Godsman series. Those three series are set in the same world. So I'm building a world and a story Bible for all of those three series at once by working on that one world, if that makes sense. I also did more world building, etc., for the Books of Ezekiel series, another series that I'm working on called the Rapture series, the 2054 anthology / the Camille, because I had to do some world building in order to actually write the Camille. I also worked on the following serialized novel series that I am planning to release at some point in the far distant future. And those include the Morian serialized novel series, the Immortal serialized novel series, the Camille serialized novel series, as I mentioned before, and also the Surrogate serialized novel series. And for these same serialized novel series, I use my world building to do a double dip development, if that makes sense, for both the serialized novel series version and the TV writing version, or rather the TV series version. So basically, because I'm about to get into the TV series development and writing achievement section in just a second, but me developing the Camille, Immortal, and Surrogate, for example, as serialized novel series is going to double count for me doing that same kind of work for the world building of the TV series versions of those works, if that makes sense. I also prepared and sort of did a lot of development on production spec documents for certain covers that I'm trying to get commissioned. And a spec doc is basically, for those of you who don't know, is a detailed description, essentially, of what you want included in the cover, including its title, its copy, so the title, the blurb, taglines, log lines, anything that's going to be textual. It's going to include the color scheme. It's going to include the genre that the cover designer should be aiming for. It's going to include a detailed description of what exactly you want on the cover, or at least sort of the mood and the theme of what you want on the cover. And it also includes usually image attachments of images that you want on the cover, backgrounds you want on the cover, elements you want on the cover, etc. So I actually did a lot of development on that for a bunch of different covers for a series that I know that I'm working on that are going to be coming out sooner rather than later. And so that was sort of couched underneath the title of World Building, Plotting, and Development Achievements for this year. Moving on, next section, TV series development and writing achievements for 2018. Again, a lot of the TV development work that I did and accomplished this year was basically the same work that I did for my serialized novel series, world building and development. So I started developing the Morian TV series, the Ezekiel TV series based on my novel series, The Books of Ezekiel, the Immortal TV series, the Camille TV series, the Surrogate TV series, and I started working on the When in Rome TV series, which is essentially the master's thesis I've been working on for the past few months, where I am adapting Shakespeare's Roman history tetralogy plays into a one-season condensed TV miniseries. So everything, or rather, most things on my development slate, or a lot of things that I have to do just generally in graduate school, I always try to make them double count. so that I am pushing my portfolio as far as it can. So I'm not going to do a master's thesis just to do a master's thesis and be done. The master's thesis is going to be the TV adaptation of Shakespeare's Roman history tetralogy, which I'm then going to add into my TV series development portfolio. So that's how I roll. I also just learned a heck of a lot about TV writing and development because, as you guys would recall, I took the entire summer of this year, 2018, to do a lot of TV series development study. I read a lot of books. I read pilots. I did a lot of breakdowns. And as you guys will recall, I worked on a lot of TV series development tools like worksheets and workbooks and things like that. So I spent a lot of time learning about TV, learning about how series are developed, how pilots are developed, how certain pilots work and certain pilots don't. I learned a lot about TV Bibles, proposals, pitches, producer statements, and all those things. And then I started activating that knowledge by actually putting together worksheets, workbooks, and by also working on my own TV series and TV Bibles. So that, it to me, is a major accomplishment because it's not only me taking a lot of information in, but it's also activating that information and then turning it into a bunch of tools that I can then use, and I did use, to develop my own work. So I did a lot of that. And again, because everything I do tries to either double or triple count, I use a lot of those worksheets, workbooks, templates, study guides that I created on television this summer as free opt-ins, as workbooks, as just learning material that I am going to put on thebohemianbadass.com this year. So the hustle is very real, and I do try my best to take each project and look at each project and try to turn it into a transmedia, trans content marketing tool that I can use across not only my different, not only across different media outlets and different kinds of media, but also across my personal subsidiaries at Rebel Ragdoll. So that's how I'm rolling. Rolling. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so that was what I got done for TV series development and writing for 2018. Directing achievements. Directing was completely on fleek this summer. It was amazing. Not even this summer, excuse me. Actually, this year. I didn't really do any directing at all this summer, but I did do directing from January to April of this year, and then from August to October of this year, which is amazing. So I actually directed individually. I directed 3 pieces this year, and then I co-directed 2 pieces. So I directed Allies, which is a spoken word performance at our U of A Celebrates MLK Junior Day, and that was really successful. It was a huge hit. People were giving us standing ovations for, the poet's wonderful work. And so I'm not going to take credit for that. Obviously, we had 2 amazing poets, and they were incredible. Teray Fowler Chapman and another poet whose name I forget, and I feel so badly for forgetting it. But girl, you were the bomb. You and your wonderful daughter who delivered that, poem amazingly. It was incredible. So that was one spoken word performance that I directed/produced. I also co-directed the Generator Death of King Arthur production, which was a full production, a black box production. That was an experimental piece that it was sort of an experimental / adaptation / I don't even know how to describe it. Like straight production / musical piece. It was just kind of crazy, but it took a lot of time and effort, both on the creative and professional and work ethic level and on the emotional level. As you guys might have recalled, my experiences during that production were very intense and very educational. But as a co-director of the entire piece, I really did realize that I really enjoy and love directing. And so that kind of ignited the fire inside of me to have my first full production under my belt. Within that production, I individually directed the Maureen musical. It was a mini sort of musical that was originally about 30 minutes long, but had to get cut down significantly to maybe about 15 minutes. So I directed that. That was a heck of a lot of fun, and I really, really enjoyed it. So it was great because I got to get an individual director's credit for that part of the piece, but I also was able to get co-director's credit for the entire piece because we had to co-dramaturg it, co-write it, and co-direct it together. And then in the fall, excuse me, I co-directed Erased, which was a series of 10-minute plays, and the plays were commissioned around the topic of erasure. So we had different ideas of erasure sort of floating around: environmental erasure, racial erasure, spatial erasure, etc., personal erasure and self-esteem, historical erasure, and it was a really wonderful collection of plays. And so I was responsible as a co-director with two other co-directors to sort of form and forge the piece as a whole, right? Because we had to basically dramaturg and produce and direct the entirety of the 7 pieces. But then individually, we also got to direct our own plays. So I co-directed the event Erasure, but then I directed individually 2 10-minute plays, in particular, Seeking Betty and Deleted, which was really a wonderful experience. I really enjoyed it. The plays themselves, I think, were manageable in the content, in terms of content, and also in terms of the cast size. So that was really, really wonderful, and I really enjoyed it. So I learned a lot, and I'm not going to reflect, again, like I said before, so much in this particular section, but the year of the director was definitely one of the titles of this year, and I definitely, in my opinion, got a lot of experience, got a lot of learning out of it, and I feel like I knocked it out of the park. It felt really good to put all that work into these projects and then be able to go on opening night and all the other subsequent nights and really see our work, our actors' work, our writers' works, and our crew's work shine on the theater stage. And so this hopefully is just the first of many more directing opportunities that I will have in theater, and it's definitely going to be the first of many film directing opportunities that I'm going to take for myself in the future, including the film that I want to direct first, The Monsters Between Us. So super excited, felt really, really good about how this year went with regard to directing. Sounded pretty good, right? You know, writing and publishing stuff, working on TV series, learning about TV writing, learning about directing, actually directing a whole bunch of stuff. 2018 was on fleek, and I'm really proud of how it came out. Okay. So my dramaturgy achievements for 2018. So in addition to directing a lot of that work that I just mentioned, I also had to serve as a dramaturg. Being a dramaturg on a piece is extremely different most times than being a director, and so my responsibilities as a dramaturg really vary dramatically between pieces, and I got a lot of dramaturgical experience from that, even though in many instances, I was also directing as a parallel experience at the same time. So I divided this section up into development dramaturgy and production dramaturgy. And development dramaturgy, if you guys don't know, is basically when you as a dramaturg are working with a playwright during the playwriting process, and you are helping them to unlock their play, to interrogate their play, to really heighten a lot of the aspects of the play and to ask questions about the play. You're essentially kind of like a script doctor, except dramaturgs don't really see themselves as doctors. We see ourselves more so as midwives, right? So the playwright is the mom. The play is literally the seed that is growing inside of the playwright. And we are the midwife, just checking on the health of the play, checking on the progress of the play, maybe suggesting like a nice nutritious meal for the play, suggesting that the playwright get their exercise in certain areas. Oh, exercise language here, try to exercise some concepts here, break realism and exercise realism and non-realism over here. We're teaching, helping the playwrights to like get their bearings, teaching them like some literal emotional breathing exercises when they get freaked out about the play. Like, we are literally the midwives of the plays in the development process. So we help the play to come to fruition, but we are not in charge of growing the play. That is the playwright mommy's and daddy's job. So when it's time for the play to be birthed, we're there too, helping it come into the world, making sure the play is healthy, making sure the play is alive, making sure the play is like, taken care of. And we're just there as a support system for the playwright mommy and daddy, and helping the play not only in like the prenatal process, but through the perinatal and postnatal process, right? So in that regard, with that long metaphor in front of us, I essentially was the development dramaturg / midwife for, 3 10-minute plays and 2 full-length plays this year. And those plays were called Lost Souls, The Parasites by Dominique Ryder, and then Thursday, written by Adia J. Alguin. And that process it took place during our new play development dramaturgy class, and it consisted of 3 rounds of, not just 3 rounds, but we had to commission the plays. We had to, do all of those things, write up the commission notice, get in submissions, pick the submissions, and then we were assigned our particular plays. Rather, we assigned ourselves the plays to work with. So we also had to contact the playwrights, and then we had to do 3 rounds of reading of the play, writing up notes about the play and thoughts about the play, asking questions about the play, and then having a discussion about the play with the actual playwrights. So I did 1 round for Lost Souls before that playwright moved on to other things. And then I did the full 3 rounds of notes and feedback giving for the other 2 plays, The Parasites and Thursday, which was great. I also, during that class, did a not 1, but 2 full-length plays, and I didn't write the plays, but I was the dramaturg temporarily, sort of like an auxiliary dramaturg for these 2 plays, one of which was a full-length original play, and another called Blood by Nambi Kelly, and then another which was a full-length play adaptation that she is working on called Jazz of Toni Morrison's novel. Really lovely, wonderful play. Loved it. And so I didn't have such a iterative process with these 10-minute with these full-length plays as I did with the 10-minute play, but I did end up reading the both plays in their entirety, taking notes, writing up notes, asking questions, doing diagrams, just like doing things that could possibly help the playwright, even get even further. And again, that's not to say that I'm the dramaturg of distinction here, but that was just a part of my assignment, and that's what I did. So that was a really educational process, working on those 2 full-length plays and the 10-minute plays, and it was a lot of development dramaturgy in a very short amount of time. It just is what it is. At the same time, I was also doing a lot. I mean, I can't even say that I was doing, I guess I could say I was doing development dramaturgy. So at the same time, I was doing development dramaturgy for the production that I was working on, the King Arthur production, where we were all coming in with research, ideas, notes, text, sounds, images, and we were writing and dramaturging that particular piece before we started directing that piece. So we also did some development dramaturgy for the King Arthur generator piece, and that's where the Maureen story was first birthed. It wasn't going to be necessarily a musical at first, but then it suddenly morphed into one during the production process, which I'll get into in the production dramaturgy section. So that was really great and helpful, and a really great experience. And so then let's get into production dramaturgy. Production dramaturgy is essentially when you are literally in the room, at the studio, at the theater, and you are finally seeing the play on stage basically unfolding in real time in 3D-ness, in its multidimensionality. And so that is, in my opinion, a different process than the development process. Sort of like, again, going with the midwife motif and metaphor, how taking care of a baby and helping the baby grow outside of the womb is a different process than helping it grow inside of the womb, right? So with production dramaturgy, you are the go-between and sort of like this really strong part of the trinity between the dramaturg, the playwright, and the director. And you are helping the playwright to continue to develop their work as they see it unfold on stage. And you're offering feedback, you're offering notes, you're offering insights, but then you're also helping the playwright to communicate their concerns, their changes, their growth of their play and themselves to the director, who is trying to then take all those notes in kind and apply them to what is happening on stage with his actors and with the scene design, with the costume design, etc. So that is an ongoing process, and I was able to engage in that process as a dramaturg with the 2 10-minute plays that I dramaturged, again, The Parasites and Thursday. And so while I was directing Seeking Betty and Deleted in the fall, I was also taking off my director's hat, and then in the next hour of rehearsal, putting on my dramaturg's hat and sitting in on the rehearsals of these 2 10-minute plays as the dramaturg, Skyping in the playwrights when they wanted to be there, and also taking notes, giving feedback, and communicating between the playwright and the director, as well as giving my own feedback. I did a similar thing when we were working on the King Arthur production in the spring, both for the King Arthur production as a whole, although I took a smaller role as a dramaturg for the whole production, but I also had to serve as a dramaturg for my own stuff, which was the Maureen story. And I can't say that the production dramaturgy that I engaged in for the King Arthur Maureen production was nearly as successful for me personally as it was for the 10-minute play festival in the fall. But luckily, we did have, as a part of our 4-member cohort, one of us who wasn't writing a storyline or directing a storyline did serve as the overall dramaturg for the entire piece. So that was really helpful. So the production dramaturgy I engaged in with King Arthur was much more minimalistic than the production dramaturgy I engaged in for the play festival. Whew, that is a lot of dramaturgy. And as a result, excuse me, I was able to really put together some really lovely portfolios for new play dramaturgy and for experimental dramaturgy. And actually, speaking of, since we're on the topic, I was also, as a part of my experimental dramaturgy class this fall, able to produce a really lovely experimental dramaturgy protocol for Father Comes Home from the Wars. So this is for me, this is a big deal because it completes the holy trinity of dramaturgy that we're trying to study here in the program. And now I have, from my coursework, 3 very distinct kinds of portfolios to show anyone who wants to see my dramaturgical skills. I have a classical dramaturgy portfolio where I did an actual classical protocol for Titus Andronicus by William Shakespeare. Then I have my new play, Dramaturgy Protocol, which I cobbled together using the work that I did on the 3 10-minute plays and the 2 full-length plays, which was great. And now I also have a dramaturgy protocol, an experimental dramaturgy protocol for Father Comes Home from the Wars, which is a protocol / mini casebook because it has different elements in there. And so that's really lovely. And so I have those 3 pieces to show now, in addition to the fact that I did production dramaturgy for Creeps, which was a black box production that I dramaturged, I believe, in the spring of 2017. And then I have a a dramaturgical protocol for the Addams Family musical, which is a musical, a main stage musical that I did production dramaturgy for in the fall of 2017, I believe. So my dramaturgy protocol is looking on fleek right now, and I'm really, really excited about that. All right. So we're getting towards the end, sort of, maybe the midpoint of my updates. And I just want to jump into what was going on for Rebel Ragdoll this year. I'm sorry, guys. I have a frog in my throat. I'm also overcoming a cold. So it's just been like a hot mess of a first week for January. But it's okay. It's going to get better. All right. So as you guys know, Rebel Ragdoll is a media empire that is growing. It's a one-woman show right now, obviously, with like some contractors in the background. But it is a female-identified media production conglomerate in process that is focusing on publishing, film production, game design, education in craft and in creative training. And it also has a few other subsidiaries to, for example, help single mom creatives to get on their feet and to start making their art and make money off their art. We also have New Adult Noir under our umbrella, which is a blog and giveaway website and promotion website for authors. And it's also like a book blog for readers that deals specifically with dark and gritty sci-fi, fantasy, horror, and romance. And then, as you guys know, I also announced that I'm going to be developing the Black Heart Boulange, which includes the Black Heart Bakery, Black Heart Books, Black Heart Boudoir, and the Black Heart Boutique, which is another brand that will be growing that I've already started shadow development on. So we're doing a whole lot. Oh, and of course, it includes Rebel Ragdoll Press, Rebel Ragdoll Productions, Chick Rogue Studios, again, publishing, film production, game design, and also The Bohemian Badass, which is the creative training hub. So that is what's happening at Rebel Ragdoll. And this year, Rebel Ragdoll has grown in a variety of ways, but the biggest place where we've actually grown was in The Bohemian Badass. So I actually have a separate section under the Rebel Ragdoll 2018 section to talk about The Bohemian Badass. And we're going to talk about it right now. So a lot happened this year for The Bohemian Badass. I basically, in addition to studying TV writing and series development this summer, the main goal for this summer was to completely reboot and completely revamp The Bohemian Badass at www.thebohemianbadass.com. And I got a lot done, so I'm just going to blow through it. So for one, we finally achieved LLC status here in Arizona for The Bohemian Badass, which I'm super excited for. Yes, a little late in the game because I'm going to be moving, around the end of May, mid-May, but I did want to have, legal protections in place because it is a business, and it is a business that is geared towards not only helping people but also making money. So whenever you have money coming in, you need to have legal protections in place. So we did the LLC status. I'm really excited about it, and I'm excited to see what 2019 is going to bring. But just sort of blow through, I completely revamped and rebooted the website. It is gorgeous. Feel free to check it out again at thebohemianbadass.com. That's THEBOHEMIAN badass.com. Check us out. I also finished the majority of the business plan for The Bohemian Badass, which is a huge deal because it took a really long time. I did a lot of just business solutions shopping for The Bohemian Badass as well. Financial management and accounting software, website development software, content creation software, etc. Super important, super technical and dry to do something like that, but it's really important. I also pretty much finished the branding, chose my colors, fonts, graphics, templates. I also, for the most part, optimized the website for mobile. I'll be sort of polishing that up and finishing that throughout the entirety of 2019. I installed my WooCommerce online store, which I still have to sort of like breathe life into, but it's there. And then I also developed a really dope affiliate marketing strategy, which I'm really excited about. But the biggest thing that I was working on, aside from the business reboot and the website revamp, was the content creation that I got done this year. And I got a lot of content creation done. Even though I didn't publish any of it on The Bohemian Badass, it was still getting done. So for the Breaking Badass Challenge, which I will be opening in 2020, actually feels like a really neat year to open up, a new challenge. I fully outlined the challenge. That challenge is going to help people to like literally break badass, kind of like Breaking Bad, but like Breaking Badass, and start their creative and artistic businesses. And so I'm excited about that. I also designed and finished the template for the self-care journal for artists, authors, and entrepreneurs, creative entrepreneurs. And so I'm excited to sort of polish up that, basically finish it in its entirety this year. But I have all the basics down and ready, and I'm super excited, and I cannot wait to show you guys. It is such a really amazing journal. That didn't really make any sense, but you know what I mean. Such an amazing journal / a really amazing journal, and I know you guys are going to enjoy it. I also finished and polished up a lot of Scrivener templates that I plan on also making available to you guys as soon as possible, including the Plot Like a Badass template. And these are templates you can literally just open in Scrivener and have, basically your Scrivener file will be automatically set up to help you plot out your novels or your screenplays, or if you're getting very genre specific, your horror novels, etc. So I finished up the Scrivener templates to help you guys do that. So the Plot Like a Badass template is done. The Badass Horror Novel template is done. The Badass Horror Screenplay template is done. And the Plot Builder template is done. I only added one podcast and one blog/vlog to The Bohemian Badass this year. Not anywhere near where I wanted to be with regard to my goals, but it's something. And then, I created, edited, and finished and polished a bunch of different worksheets, workbooks, and writing tools. So, as you guys will recall from earlier in this podcast, I talked about all the worksheets and workbooks that I created for TV development and series development. And all of these are going to be used for The Bohemian Badass. So, these templates, worksheets, workbooks, etc. include Logline Worksheet, Mastering Your Genre Workbook, Horror Film Development Workbook, Horror Film Story Grid Template, Horror Film Character Development Worksheets, Horror Film Site and Situation Worksheets. I can't wait to introduce you guys to those. Horror Film Case Studies Study Guide, TV Series Development Checklist, the Testing Your TV Show Concept Worksheets, TV Series Development Workbook, TV Series Bible Template Workbook, Plot and Character Arc Planner for your TV episode, a 5-act planner for your TV episode, mysteries and reveals planner for your TV episode, the elements of a the elements of a TV series franchise study guide, the TV series pitch proposal and Bible development study guide, the screenplay development workbook, and the sequence and beats checklist for screenplays. That is a lot of material, and I developed these based on any information that I come across that's new that can be put into an actionable format. So as I read books and as I find new information and new things that will help you to fully flesh out your TV series even more, or your horror screenplay or whatever, I always go back and add that element into the TV series or the horror or the screenplay templates and workbooks and worksheets that I am working on. And so this entire year I've been just reading, studying, writing, editing, and updating these things. So you have a lot to be excited about for 2019 because they will be available at thebohemianbadass.com, and I am super amped. I also did script breakdowns for 3 movies. One, actually they're all survival horrors, but one is they're all sci-fi survival horrors. I guess all survival horrors are like semi-sci-fi. Anyway, I'm not going to reflect on that now, but I did 3 of those breakdowns. One for A Quiet Place, one for Alien, and one for Aliens. So I'm excited to finally share those on my website as well. I also generated over 600 blog post ideas, over 200 different info product ideas, and then organized them all together. So they're not completed and they're not published, but I basically, in developing The Bohemian Badass and revamping it, I created a development slate for The Bohemian Badass, and that's what's on it. I also planned out my monthly blog content theme for the next 6 months, so I'm excited about that. And I basically, it's basically an editorial calendar of what I'm going to be writing and publishing for the next 6 months to a year. I also finished rough drafts, extremely rough drafts of I don't even want to call it a 5-module mega course because they're really individual courses. So I did 5 rough drafts of a TV series development course in different stages. The first part is called The Anatomy of a TV Series. And so that's going to include study notes, TV series breakdown templates, and the TV series development checklist. The second course rough draft I completed was part 2, developing your badass TV series. And that's going to include the TV Bible template and development workbook. And it's also going to include the TV series plot development worksheet along with all these other things that I mentioned. Then I finished creating the rough draft of part 3 of this course series called Developing the Pilot. And that will include the perfect pilot worksheets, the TV development act planner, amongst other things. And then I also created part 5, writing the pilot. That's a rough draft course on how to write a TV pilot. And it's going to include a whole bunch of other wonderful worksheets. And then part 5 was not ever finished in any rough draft form, but part 5 is going to be marketing and selling your TV series as an independent filmmaker. I think that knowing how to do that, all of this within the industry is super important, obviously, but because I'm an independent filmmaker and I'm not really trying to get into the mainstream industry, like I wouldn't mind it obviously, but like I'm trying to build my own fempire. I want to develop ways in which, not only study the current ways, but develop new ways in which one can market and sell successfully their own TV series. I'm not going to work on that course until I've been able to do it myself. So that's sort of the drawback of The Bohemian Badass, is that I'm only going to teach you what I know and what I see works and what I see helps. Anything else, like, I'm not going to pretend to know anything. And that's just how it's going to be. But if I actually get into contact with people who know what they're doing, and I'm able to interview them and get them to, like, you know, create modules for marketing and selling their own TV series, then I will definitely create the course for you guys based on their knowledge and their contributions, etc. All right, what else did I do for the Bohemian Badass? That's a lot of stuff, right? I also developed a really awesome coaching program that I'll be opening probably sometime, to be really honest, in the fall. I just need to, I like being very thorough and being complete with my coaching stuff. And I just need to have my workbooks ready and my templates ready. And so I just need time to do that. But as for like the template and the process and the protocol, coaching program is looking amazing and I'm really excited about it. I also wrote 2 best practices sample guides for how to recruit advanced readers and advanced reviewers for a novel that you're about to publish and about to market. And I also created a sample guide for increasing your list engagement, because I know a lot of us have list sizes of lists of different sizes, shall we say. And some of us might have really active engaged lists, and others might have lists wherein we send out an email and we hear nothing but crickets. And so I'm actually pretty good at getting a higher level of engagement from my readers. And so I created a best practices sample guide that I will also include at thebohemianbadass.com, just to kind of, for those of you who are interested in building up a fan base that's interactive, that sample guide is for you. Okay. What else are we doing? So that is the wrap up for the Bohemian Badass. Let's talk about the achievements for New Adult Noir really quickly, super short. As you guys might have noticed, I did not really do anything at newadultnoir.com after April 2018 for a variety of reasons. The main reason being that I, one, didn't have time. Secondly, the new GDPR laws that enforce data protection for those of us who maintain mailing lists and for those of you who are on mailing lists have forced me to rethink in a very good way and in a positive way how I'm going to be managing my engagement with my readers and my consumers at New Adult Noir. As you know, we do a lot of giveaways over there, and I just need to figure out how to ethically improve my giveaways such that people's data is protected and such that everyone who signs up to a giveaway only remains on the list that they want to remain on and that they want to be on. So I think that probably at some point in the latter half of 2019, I will be able to come to some conclusions and create a program and protocol to make sure that I'm protecting people's data properly and to make sure that New Adult Noir is the best website it can be. But for now, basically from April 2018, probably until April 2019, it's going to be on hiatus. But I did get a few things done in 2018 prior to me going on hiatus, which included just wrapping up the December 2017 25 Days of Box Sets giveaway, which was super successful. I was able to get a lot of subscribers onto my participating authors lists, and also grew my own list to about 20,000 plus subscribers, which I then culled down to about half because I only want engaged people on my list. But it was a really successful endeavor, and I would love to do another one again once I figure out how to make my giveaways even more beneficial for everybody involved. If you guys haven't noticed, if you haven't been on newadultnoir.com, I also in 2018 created a really amazing box set of dark and scary and gritty stories in mystery, in sci-fi, and in fantasy. And it's like 23 novels and short stories all in one swoop. If you go on newadultnoir.com and tell us where to send you these novels, we can send it to your email address, and it's completely free of charge. And it's great. It's also been a really wonderful sort of free gift for anyone who wants to join our list. So I really enjoyed putting that together. I updated the New Adult Noir website, just basic maintenance, and then I ran 2 free book promos 2 author exclusive promos. And that was about it for New Adult Noir before we went on hiatus. So New Adult Noir is coming back. It is not only coming back in 2019, probably later 2019, but it will also be coming back with a focus on book reviews, film reviews, and game reviews for those intellectual properties and content that fall under our brand, meaning dark, gritty, noir, witty, sci-fi, fantasy, horror, romance. So that's what we did for New Adult Noir. It has not fallen off. We're just on a break, and it will come back stronger and faster than ever. Trust me. For Rebel Ragdoll Press, those achievements of 2018, as I mentioned before, some of the achievements for me as a personal author obviously cross over to Rebel Ragdoll Press because anything that I write and publish is coming out of my press, Rebel Ragdoll Press. So we published The Camille this year. Again, finished The Lock-In, and that's currently in publication on the presses, so to speak, right now, the digital presses. We also released the paperback versions of The Given and The Taken this year, which is really great. And did a massive update of all of our ebook files for The Given and The Taken across all of our retailers that we're partnered with. And then we also, I keep saying we like it's more than me, but we sounds kind of cool, so I'll just keep doing it. I also achieved an LLC status for Rebel Ragdoll Press as well, because I'm planning to move into a more professional realm with Rebel Ragdoll Press, and I wanted to reclaim that LLC status that we had in Wisconsin. Also finished a really amazing marketing plan and model for Rebel Ragdoll Press. And I'm really excited to try to implement that model for this year. We'll see how it goes. And because I like to, again, double dip with everything, I'm going to translate our company-specific marketing model and plan into a general fill-inable marketing model and plan for anyone who wants to start their own publishing press. And I'll post that at thebohemianbadass.com. Sharing is caring, y'all. I love sharing information. Okay, moving on to Rebel Ragdoll Productions achievements for 2018. Didn't really do anything for Rebel Ragdoll Productions except expand the learning process. So I, again, gained experience and knowledge in directing. I did go shopping for business solutions for film production houses. Super important to do. And then I also worked more on my film trilogy, the Sandman trilogy. So Rebel Ragdoll Productions basically at this point is still in development mode for the franchises and intellectual properties that we eventually want to get out. And it's going a little bit slower than I would like it to, but to be really honest, it takes a while to make a movie sometimes. And it's likely that I actually won't go into production for any of these movies I'm working on until 2020, to be really real. And that's probably going to be like the summer of 2020, the earliest. But that's okay, because in the meantime, you can keep building up skills, keep making little mini films, keep just learning things and developing your knowledge. It never stops. The hustle never stops, even if you're not putting out product. You yourself, in my opinion, are a product as well. Okay, those are the main brands. The other Rebel Ragdoll brand achievements for 2018 include me working on the Black Heart Boulange, me working on my romance erotica author brand, and me working on the Dollhouse. So the Black Heart Boulange, I basically just maintained the websites, updated the websites, and I'm still working on the websites and probably will continue to work on those this year behind the scenes. As I told you guys before too, I put the Black Heart Boulange brand and its subsidiaries on hiatus until the very earliest, the fall of this year, probably the very latest, the fall of 2020. And that's pretty much it for the Black Heart Boulange. That's going to remain in shadow development. Those franchises as well as their product offerings are going to continue to be shadow developed this year and next year until we open. So that's always in the works, never stops. For my mystery, my surprise romance erotica author brand, I did some brand kit shopping, which is important because branding is super important to me. Getting colors, font, logos, taglines, mood, and tone, developing business plans for any brand or business that I plan to open is really important to me, and it takes quite a bit of time. So I'm still doing that for my erotica romance author brand, as well as developing a project slate for the kinds of books that I want to write under that name. And I also started writing and developing blog posts for the brand as well. So, I am so sorry. The frog in my throat is like coming back hardcore. I also developed a preliminary visual business model, which is basically, what do they call that? I don't know what they really call this, but I created like a spiderweb plot. If you guys know what it's called, just put it in the comments below. But um, where I'm able to like plot out with circles and lines on a piece of paper the different aspects of my author brand and business and how I plan on marketing, selling, the products I plan on offering, the services I plan on offering, etc. So I worked on that for that mystery erotica romance brand. I also worked on the dollhouse, and I got back and approved the logos for my, how do I say this? For my vlog series that, again, I mentioned this in my creative goals for 2019 post, which is coming up after this post. I mentioned this there, but I have created a vlog and we'll be creating a podcast for creative single moms and just single moms in general who are looking just to upgrade, up level, and glow up in all aspects of their lives, including their creative lives. And the vlog that I have created is currently an anonymous vlog because the topics and my positions on certain topics are very controversial. Not that I need to shy away from controversy, but unfortunately, being a Black female YouTuber can be a very dangerous thing. Even if you're YouTubing and vlogging on really benign things, there's just like a general negative energy towards and around Black female YouTubers online. So unfortunately, I have to keep that vlog and that brand under wraps for now until I have garnered the social and, just physical protection necessary to avoid things like, common threatening tactics like doxing, threats, stalking. These are things that people are actually experiencing from just trying to put out positive content online for a very vulnerable, underrepresented community, And so in order to do my work effectively, I need to protect myself and my identity. So I will not be connecting that vlog yet to the dollhouse and our endeavors at the dollhouse. But eventually I will make those connections between the two brands, just not right now. But just know that I have been working on the vlog. I got back and I approved the logos for that vlog and for that brand. Got the domain name, built the website. It's not completed, but it's like up. I'll be working on that in 2019. And then I uploaded 5 video content pieces for the brand, which I'll actually be transforming into a podcast in 2019 as well. Okay. Let's get into marketing and community growth achievements for 2018. Marketing and community growth, I learned a lot about marketing from those co-publishing and co-launching experiences I had with 2054 and Uprising. I also invested in and collected a lot of industry knowledge with regard to the genres that I am writing books in and publishing books in. So sci-fi, fantasy, and horror. I have invested in market reports from klytics.com. That's KLYTICS.com. Really great site. Check it out. It tries its best to crack the Amazon sort of trends and rankings in those categories and more. So check it out if you're interested in seeing how to maneuver your platform. Let's see. I also created a few marketing plans and marketing models this year, including those for the box sets and anthologies that I co-published, and also my Kobe R. Rice brand and my Rebel Ragdoll Press brand, as I mentioned before. Let's see. I'm trying to just pick out the things that are interesting. Updated my Patreon page this year with a lot of new posts. I revamped the page, revamped basically what I am offering at patreon.com for my Patreon. I still need to update my milestones and my goals and my reward levels. So that's going to be happening in 2019, but that's something I worked on this year. And I did a complete reboot of my author marketing funnel, which is what is increasing my engagement on my list. So that's really exciting. And I'm really just happy that I did that because it needed that funnel. It was a struggle funnel, child. It was just a struggle funnel. And now it is a really strong, amazing, incredible funnel. And it shows. So I'm excited about that. As a result, my reader community has become more engaged and just more like invested. So I noticed a significant uptick in reader engagement, retention, and feedback. I also, intelligently enough, have been able to start gathering demographic information on my readers. Not anything private or personal, but just figuring out how many men versus how many women or transgender and people in my community, the age distributions, education distributions, their reading habits, their favorite genres, how they found me, etc. And it's been very, very informational. So if you guys have a reader funnel out there, you have a mailing list and you like invite them onto your list and you have like a sort of 7-step funnel that your readers go through in order to like be introduced to your list, definitely include a mini quiz on that funnel so you can find out who is being attracted to your list and why and how. It's been really helpful. I've also grown different parts of my reader community, including adding 24 members to my Dark Council of Offworld list, and those are the rabid fans. And then more members to my Dark Council Facebook community and more members to the general Offworld Facebook community. So, and I also removed a lot of cold subscribers and subscribers who were just like not active. Excuse me. I got more serious about giving my readers more targeted attention this year, and I'm going to try to step that up a notch even more for 2019 because I've labeled 2019 the year of the marketer along with other year titles, and I really want to have an intimate relationship, a healthy intimate relationship with my readers, and I want to get more actively engaged in my reader community. I also grew my Patreon community and I have 2 patrons now, which is really great. Hopefully I'll get the numbers up to maybe 10 or 20 next year. Who knows, right? For blogging and vlogging, I recorded and posted 37 new episodes for this specific podcast. I had to skip some. As you guys know, it's a weekly podcast, but I had to skip some because I was busy directing, I got swamped with work, or I was sick, or tech wasn't working. But 37 episodes, really excited. And this year, in 2019, we're actually going to that doesn't even make any sense. We're actually going to hit our episode number 100. So I am super amped about that. That's going to be a really special episode. Just stay tuned for that. And as I mentioned before, I created and posted 5 new episodes for my single mom vlog on YouTube. And I also added 1 episode to my Media Crit vlog, which is called Unapologetically Melanated Media Crit. Go follow it if you're interested in just my feedback and my reaction to the things that are happening in media right now, basically. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick break because my frog in my throat is just croaking right now. And then I'm going to come back to finish out this 2018 Creative Achievements update. I told you this year was jam-packed with a lot of things that I did, and hopefully I am not disappointing you. I'll be right back after I get a sip of water. Okay, I'm back. Still a little froggy in the voice, but I'm going to try to get this next part done as soon as possible so you guys are not tortured by the croaker in my throat. Okay, so Creative Achievements 2018 Professional Development with specific focus on my graduate school and teaching achievements. So, as you guys know, at the end of this semester, I literally hit the 5/6 mark. Yeah, the 5 out of 6 mark. I had to figure out that was right of my graduate school career, meaning that I only have 1 more semester left. It is going to be a relatively relaxed and chill semester, maybe a little too chill because I'm already just like not even focused on certain things, but it's all good. That was a major accomplishment for me. Most of my requirements are pretty much out of the way with the exception of this last class, this last TA-ship appointment, the master's thesis, the master's report, and the 2 defenses associated with those things, and then my final portfolio review. So that is what is ahead of me in graduate school, and I am so psyched. I'm almost done, almost free, and almost back home. So that is a major accomplishment for me. In this past semester, I finished out my classes. I also managed 2 TA-ships this past year. And I had 2 in the spring. Again, they always do this to me, and I don't really know why. But it is what it is. And then I had 1 in the fall. I learned a bunch about the international film history of horror, and I'm really excited. I unfortunately wasn't able to screen every single horror movie that we had to screen for that class, but I do plan on trying to do that this semester. Because I love horror and I'm trying to get my horror education, especially when it comes to the history and the sort of international ideas around horror, which is really fascinating. And actually, I also am going to double count all of the notes that I took from that TA-ship last spring and again post those as blog posts at thebohemianbadass.com because again, graduate school needs to be pimping for me in multiple different areas. I did a lot of teaching, and not just a teaching assistantship gig where I'm, grading papers and holding office hours, but we taught a lot of seminars in our classes this past week. Not this past week, this past year, excuse me. And I taught a total of 5 full lectures, 1 on Gothic architecture, another on blackface performance, 1 on Aristotelian drama, and then 2 on Susan Laurie Parks because I was doing a project for the class. I also did my artist manifesto, which on its face originally felt as though it was going to be pretty useful. And I just, looking back on it, now that it's like 8 months later or whatever, I don't really find it particularly useful. It was just sort of a project just to get done. But that's because I have for the past 5 to 7 years almost have been consistently trying to figure out what my mission is, what my manifesto is, and like figuring that out, pretty much nailed it for myself, and I continue to hone it and grow it. So the manifesto was an interesting project. I made it interesting, but in terms of helping me to discover who I am, didn't really help so much in that regard, but it did help to just reconfirm who I am, especially with regard to my relationship to graduate school and how that is going to play a role in my art, which it is not. So, just certain things that I've done in the program have really helped to grow and develop and evolve me as an artist and as a scholar and as a person. But then all the other thing that I gained from being in this graduate program thus far is just the distillation of things that I already knew I was really into and about, and just the reconfirmation that academia and the ivory tower are just like not my jam, which is fine. It's nice to just reaffirm that after having been out of academia for 3 whole years raising a child. Just in case I was questioning myself or wondering if I made a mistake. No, I did not make a mistake leaving the ivory tower, and I will be glad to have left it for good at the end of this semester. I also did a bunch of job prep, which included purchasing a domain name and starting to build a website based on my actual birth name. It's always good in this day and age, especially if you plan on opening a business, becoming a public figure, becoming an artist, running for politics or whatever, to really own your digital real estate. And so I booked a site with my full name. And that is going to be the site where you can pretty much find everything out about me professionally and creatively. You can find out about my Rebel Ragdoll Vampire, my current author brand, which is Colby R. Rice, my up-and-coming erotica romance author brand, which I will, talk about when it's finally out, my books, my films, my games, my dramaturgical skills, my CV, my biography and bio, press packet, and even all of my work as a sociologist and sociological scholar from the year of 2006 all the way up to 2013. You would be able to find information on that. Just really a place where anyone who's looking to hire me freelance or just find out more about me as an artist and like as a person, they can just go to that website and pretty much find everything that they want to know in one single swoop. And then they'll have access not only to the information, but to also my intellectual properties and everything that I like essentially own, so to speak. And I actually recommend to you guys that you go and get the domain name for your actual birth name, whatever it is. Mine is extremely uncommon. I don't think anybody else in the world at this point has my exact same name. I've looked and I've checked, unless they're just completely not on, digital media. So it was a little easier for me to book my domain name as opposed to those of you who are named like Jane Smith and John Smith. Good luck to you guys trying to do that. But the reason why I say you should book your digital real estate and own it is because there was this politician once who was running for office. I forget his or her name, but the opposition, unfortunately, this politician did not buy the website domain name for their full name, and their opposition bought it and started using their name with all of this, in conjunction with all this unfavorable media coverage, just like it was. I think it was a Republican, and the Democrats were trolling him or her. But this politician's name was literally mud by the time the opposition was done with, associating their name and their domain with all this really. It was kind of hilarious, actually. Really hilarious, but also like defaming sort of media. And so, unfortunately, that politician either lost or had to drop out of the race. But for that whatever reason, the campaign manager, I don't know what happened or how it got overlooked, but the campaign manager did not reserve the domain name, and the opposition came in and totally wiped out their competition. So it's good especially if you have a unique name or a unique brand or trademark, to try to own that as quickly and as thoroughly as possible, so that other people cannot take advantage of your name. Not that anyone's going to do that to me, but I like just having things secure. So another big part of my professional development this year, obviously, as you guys have been, listening and paying attention to, is that I've been working on my master's thesis. And in 2018, I finished and submitted my prospectus. I finished a first major read through of all of Shakespeare's Roman history tetralogy plays. So Coriolanus, Julius Caesar, Antony and Cleopatra, which was mega long, and Titus Andronicus. And then I also finished my master's thesis plan and portfolio review around what exactly I was going to do for the final thesis. And as I've been stating before, the final thesis is going to consist of an actual adapted TV pilot of a TV miniseries based on the Roman history tetralogy by Shakespeare. So it will be an actual TV pilot. And then the dramaturgical component of this project is going to consist of the protocol and casebook, where I gather all the research materials, the image research, the some scholarly research as it is required, because I don't really want to use scholarly perspective, but I will need to refer to them at some point. It will contain my rationale for how I took certain elements of these plays and turned them into something different or evolved them for the sake of the TV series. And it's going to document my process of taking this original source material that's in the public domain and adapting it into something new and fresh, condensed, and into a different format than was originally intended. So the protocol itself is going to be very dramaturgical and have all the necessary components of a typical dramaturgy protocol that, that harks to adaptation. And it will also be documenting my process of adaptation and also justifying my choices, because there are certain choices that I have to make. For example, cutting out certain pieces of dialogue, combining or condensing characters, condensing the time, and making an argument for why these 4 plays can and should be taking place around the same time or within the same time frame, things like that. So I'm really excited about that, because not only is it going to be a fun master's thesis, but it's also, as I mentioned before, going to play a huge role in building out my portfolio as a TV writer and TV director / filmmaker. And it will provide me all the essential tools to essentially produce a TV miniseries, a 1-season TV miniseries based on this particular source material. So it's really exciting. It's going to be called When in Rome, and I'm just really excited about that. I think it's a very witty title for a TV miniseries based on his works. And I haven't decided if I'm going to do a cyberpunk adaptation, a crime noir adaptation, or some sort of combination of the two. It may be a combination of the two. I don't know yet, but we'll see. I just have to really start working on it and get that ball rolling, which is why I have to, getting into my final point about 2018 in graduate school, I have to continue and finish my master's report as soon as possible so I can start working on this thesis. So that's another thing that I worked on in 2018. I got about to I wanted to tell myself I was at 40%, and I did. But looking at what I have to do now and the sort of edits I have to make, I think I finished about 1/3 of the master's report. I'm going to try my best to finish the rest of it this weekend. It's kind of hard because I've gotten to the point where it's a little boring. And so it's just become something that I have to do, something annoying that I don't want to do. And so I just have to get over myself and continue doing it. But I did work on and finish a good 33% of the master's report. And I've definitely hit a milestone on that in 2018. So that's pretty exciting. Okay, so next is professional development with regard to my creative uni. And for those of you who are new, who don't know what Creative Uni is, for me personally, these are the courses the classes, the workshops, the seminars, the books, the podcasts, everything that I consume that teaches me something outside of the auspices of graduate school. So I am constantly and consistently just keeping on the lookout for training programs, master classes, signature courses, etc., that will help me to basically continue to expand my knowledge, my mindset, my positivity, and my impact on my own work outside of graduate school. Because in my opinion, graduate school is nice, but it's not really enough. And in a lot of cases, especially with academically focused programs as opposed to practically focused programs, academically focused programs tend to be way behind the curve when it comes to keeping up with current trends and technologies and things that are actually happening at the industry level. And in order for me to stay in touch with what's going on in the industry, the technology and the skills that are required and that are growing in the industry, I have to keep taking classes and keep training myself from the current pool of knowledge that is out there. So graduate school has its place, but creative uni also has its place. And I try to use these two things together to continue my process of lifelong learning and to continue growing as an autodidact. So what I did in creative uni this year, basically, again, learned a lot about TV writing and TV series development. I learned a lot about box set promotion, book marketing, and book launching. Basically my hands-on experiences taught me that. I also did a lot of work on marketing, as I mentioned earlier, and I do have a list of all these courses on the actual blog page on which this vlog and this podcast will be posted. So if you're interested in following me on my journey to self-education and taking the same classes that I'm taking, many of which are free, some of which are paid, just feel free to go to the actual link in the description box to find out where this blog post is on my website, and you'll see the entire list of all of these classes. So did some marketing classes, definitely sat a lot of entrepreneurship classes, and I did that during the summer when I was rebooting The Bohemian Badass. The classes that really stood out to me obviously were the BuyRegina.com's Publish Your Thing 10 course pack on basically building a business, an online entrepreneurship and infopreneurship business from scratch. Love that class. It was an amazing class. I would highly recommend it. And the price tag is pricey. I think I paid $1,400 for it, but it is well worth every single penny. And if you do what she's telling you to do in your niche and you really put the pedal to the metal, you will reap that back within your first year, no problem. Period. Let's see. Most of the standout classes on entrepreneurship were from her class. It just is what it is. Creative courses, obviously, right? I started learning Unity, which is a game development platform and engine, which I'm really excited about. I have Unity and Unreal on my computer, and I'm going to try my best to dive back in to those platforms this year. As you know, while I'm developing all of my content, I will try to sort of dabble back in game design as well. But I started learning Unity last year, and it was really great. This past year, rather. Top podcasts for creativity and craft and business and marketing within publishing and filmmaking include the Creative Pen podcast, the Indie Film Hustle podcast, which I love, and definitely go check out Indie Film Hustle TV, which is a great resource for filmmakers the world over, and also the Sci-Fi Fantasy and Marketing podcast. These are my top 3 industry podcasts. And the great thing that I love about these podcasts is that not only do you get feedback on craft, marketing, selling, and networking, but you also get a dash of industry news with each one of these as well, which I really enjoy. The Creative Pen is amongst my favorite. I've been listening to that for years. I've been listening to Joanna Penn for years. I actually like all 3. It's just I've been with Joanna Penn a lot longer, so it's easier to kind of like hype her up. But the Indie Film Hustle podcast by Alex Ferrari is always amazing, as is the Sci-Fi Fantasy Marketing podcast. So super excited about that. Let's see, what else did I take? The Screenwriting You, Creating a Binge-Worthy TV Show course, modules 1 and 2. Amazing. Check those out. I learned a lot about television, writing, and series development from that class. And there's no one way to do it, but their way is very impactful and very effective. So if you're looking to really get into TV writing, I would suggest that you take those classes from Screenwriting You, modules 1 and 2. Module 1 is about developing your series. Module 2 is about packaging all of that material that you developed into a beautiful presentation and TV Bible. Then they're having a 3rd module that's coming out, which is a TV pilot writing program, which I will also be joining because I'm excited about that. So definitely check that out. That suite of courses is really, really amazing. FYI, I also, as a part of my education, read a lot of books on TV writing. The 2 top ones that there are a lot of top ones, but I guess the 3 top ones I would recommend for you guys will be Writing the TV Drama by Pamela Douglas, Writing the TV Pilot by Will Rabkin, and then Writing the TV Pilot, Creating the Series, which is the 2nd book in that series by Will Rabkin. Read those books and take Screenwriting You, those classes from Screenwriting You, and you will be well on your way to developing your own kick-ass TV series as an independent TV writer and filmmaker. I also took the Perfect Story amazing masterclass by J.A. Huss. She has not only the Perfect Story masterclass, but also the Perfect Year. This is two great free resources from J.A. Huss at jahuss.com. That's jahuss.com. 1000% free. She is a romance and erotica author. So to a certain degree, her information is tailored to that industry. It helped me out a lot, though, regardless, because she has a lot of tips that work well across genre. It also helps me specifically because as I prepare for the launch of my romance erotica pen name that's secret and top secret, I can also dive back into her classes and refresh myself on a lot of her points and her perspectives and principles. And on top of it, she gives you a few really amazing worksheets that help you to plan out a really great marketing year for your brand, and also will help you to just get a better idea of the kind of work and effort you have to put in order to get a certain kind of result. Amazing. Highly recommend her class. Love it. Both classes, excuse me. Oh, Shonda Rhimes teaches TV writing masterclass. Excelente. She gives a lot of really wonderful tips and industry knowledge, and she is literally the queen of television. I mean, I don't know who could argue with that, honestly. Right up there with J.J. Abrams and Joss Whedon and some of the biggest and most major showrunners out there. She is the queen of television and has just taken her brilliance to Netflix. And her masterclass is phenomenal. Learned a lot. She gives you a lot of really amazing resources, including an act planning template. And also she gives you a sample TV Bible from Grey's Anatomy, so that you can literally look at how she puts together a TV Bible for a season of television. And she also gives you a lot of really amazing resources from her other hit TV series, Scandal. So her class is very actionable and one of the best classes on masterclass.com. Shonda's class on TV writing, Ron Howard's class on directing, Mira Nair's class on independent filmmaking are like, in my opinion, the top creative classes for like artists and filmmakers and writers on masterclass.com. So I highly recommend you invest. Having said that, I also sat some other classes on masterclass.com. I already mentioned Mira Nair and her independent filmmaking class. I also finished out Spike Lee's independent filmmaking class, which was actually really great. It was nice hearing his philosophy, and there were quite a few teachable moments there. And that was really nice to see and to hear. I felt as though Ron Howard's workshops and Mira Nair's directing workshops were really impactful in helping me understand how directing on set works. And it helped me out a lot because it confirmed a lot of things that I knew were instinctual, but I weren't sure if they were right, quote unquote. And there's no real right way of directing, but you do need to have some kind of method that you develop. And it was just really refreshing to have my instincts reconfirmed by huge names in the industry. So that was helpful for me on an intellectual level, but also helpful for me on an emotional esteem level. So I highly recommend those classes, but also sit Spike Lee's class too. I found it useful. I just found Mira Nair's and Ron Howard's class and Shonda Rhimes' classes the most actionable. And I'm about taking knowledge and like using it to do something. So that to me is where the value is. I also jumped into some fashion design as a hobby this summer, which was great. So I took Marc Jacobs' fashion design masterclass and Diane von Furstenberg's building a fashion brand masterclass, and I really enjoyed them. I felt as those masterclasses were actually very actionable in and of themselves, very educational for someone who is interested in the fashion industry on an auxiliary level, but needs an introduction and needs actionable material. I found it really amazing, those particular classes. So a really interesting, wonderful, creative uni year for me, and I'm hoping to do even more next year. But the last thing that I want to get into with Creative Uni, which is then going to lead me into my final part of this update, is looking at how I continue to develop personally as not just as an artist or not even just as like professionally, but like as like a person and as a woman. And I really, really enjoy the Happy Black Woman podcast. Excuse me. Needed my drink of water there. The Happy Black Woman podcast. It is a podcast and a site, happyblackwoman.com, that is very inspirational and very encouraging to women, specifically Black women, who want to finally put themselves first, build businesses, either based on speaking or coaching or blogging and vlogging, and they finally want to make their own money on their own terms, put themselves first, and finally start building a life of their dreams by owning their own business and reaching out and grabbing the things that they've always wanted. And she addresses older women, younger women, childless women, mothers, single mothers. Like her platform is pretty much for everybody. And even though it's targeted towards Black women, there are plenty of women in the community who are not Black, who feel at home there, who are getting a lot of inspiration, education, and motivation to really claim their entrepreneurial spirit and go forward and open their businesses. And on top of that, she also addresses real life issues on the spiritual, emotional, and physical levels that we as Black women deal with, that often get in the way of us taking care of ourselves and doing for ourselves and claiming our dreams. So I've just find listening to her very impactful, even though the infopreneur that I invest in, whose courses I invest in, is at BABYYYY.com. I find that Happy Black Woman gives me the spiritual encouragement that I need. And the only reason why I haven't actually invested in one of her courses really is because I'm getting all that I need from the other site that I found before her. But you who might be listening to this vlog might go to happyblackwoman.com and completely find someone who is in tune and who is akin to you, and who you're like, oh no, I definitely need to invest in this woman so she can like give me personal coaching, because she and I are vibing and I just need like her support and her encouragement, and I need her tools. And so even though like I'm just currently enjoying her newsletters and her podcasts and her inspirational vlogs, I invite you to go and experience her as well, and to invest in her. You know, if she really speaks to you and she resonates with you, go and invest, because she's an amazing human being, an amazing businesswoman. She's made almost $3 million in the past, I think, 10 years, she said. Yeah, in the past 10 years of being in business. And is doing very well for herself, and has a really wonderful, full, amazing life. And we all need to get like her, but just in our own ways. So that has really helped me to just stay grounded and stay well rounded as I'm thinking about how to grow my own businesses and expand my creativity and develop my own properties going forward. So that was a huge impact for me in 2018. So I'm going to end this podcast with the self-care, wellness, and glow up achievements for 2018, because we just started talking about self-care. Drinking some more water in the name self-care. And because, again, I am more than just my professional and creative endeavors, I did have to focus on myself this year in a very personal way, in terms of my physical fitness, my health, my nutrition, my spiritual and emotional health, my mental health and stability, and also just find new ways to love myself, to increase self-love, and to increase a sense of play and gratitude and positivity. And I feel like I'm always doing pretty well on that front. Ever since 2016 started, I've been a lot better at taking care of self and putting self first, but there are always ways to make improvements. But 2018 was a really amazing year for me, with regard to self-care. So I'm just going to review that really quickly before I close out. So this year, I again recommitted myself to self-care first, which includes sleeping better, developing a more common spiritual practice, a more consistent spiritual practice, maintaining just like basic self-care, getting more exercise, eating better, keeping a food diary, and trying to keep self-care generally in the forefront of my mind as I go out of the door every single day, as I start my day, and as I just kind of live and love and breathe and move through the world. With regard to my physical health, yay, I lost 16 pounds this year, and that's amazing, and I'm excited. I'm just doing more and more to like sculpt and build. And I actually expect to, assuming that I keep to my goals, I expect to gain some weight next year while also losing it, in terms of gaining muscle mass and toning, but like losing actual body fat. So that's another sort of thing that I want to do for 2019. But that physical health milestone was really amazing, and you actually might be able to tell the difference looking at my face now, and just like even just like looking at I don't know if you can tell my arms and like, you know, just my upper body. You can tell, compare that to about a couple of years ago, and you can see a difference. But that's because I've been eating better. I've been more conscientious about what I put in my body. Maybe not for the past 3 weeks, because I'm still in my holiday mode. I'm trying to get out of that now. I've been focusing mostly on less meat, more veggies for the most part, doing more meal planning. I'm looking at my phone here. And just taking better care of my body, more exercise, more focus and targeted cardio and strength training, and it really is showing in not just like the physique, but I can feel myself getting stronger, and I can feel myself having more endurance and more balance during the day. And it's great. So, taking care of your physical health is really important as an artist. It just is. Like, you cannot do anything. I'm not going to say you can't do anything, because people do achieve major, amazing things with, like, terminal illness, loss of limbs, and things like that. But we do want to try to maximize the parts of our bodies and the things that are working right now. And you have to take care of yourself if you want to be around to create art, to write books, to shoot films. You have to take care of yourself. So for me, what I did at the very beginning of this year, because that was the beginning of my journey, was I got a treadmill, got weights, and got a yoga mat. That's all for me. That's all I needed to achieve my goals. That and a revamp of my diet. And those things collectively cost less than $250. So you could probably actually even get those for under 200 if you're really, judicious. But I really highly encourage you guys, especially if you are living a sedentary lifestyle, to get a treadmill, a really small, cheap, affordable one. It doesn't need to have any bells and whistles on it. It just needs to work. That's it. To get some weights, to get a yoga mat, and really just start to slowly and surely improve your body, because that's what I did. And it's showing, and I cannot wait to reach my next milestone of dropping another 16 pounds in the first 6 months of this year. I also did a spiritual health upgrade. Again, this is not trying to push my woo-woo onto anybody else, but for me, it's really important to continue to connect with a higher sort of being, or a higher energy outside of my mortal vessel. So taking time for meditation, reflection, prayer, even just sitting in gratitude and in silence, and just celebrating and just being for a few minutes a day, 5 to 20 minutes a day, makes a huge difference in your mental and spiritual health. And I highly encourage you guys to do that. Even if you're atheist, that's fine. You don't have to connect to like a higher energy force. Just connect to a higher self. That really helped me stay balanced for most of this year, and it was really great. And I only plan on deepening my spiritual practice in 2019. Hobbies and play, so important. So important for self-care. I was dabbling pretty lightly. I want to dabble more heavily this coming year, but I went back into some other hobbies that I was really into years ago: coloring, drawing. I picked up some supplies for knitting and crocheting, and for sewing, and for fashion design. So I'm excited to get into that. And so just little things that I can do on rainy days, or on days where I'm just like not feeling like doing anything, but I just want to kind of rest, rest in my peace, and just do something quiet and peaceful, like listen to an audiobook and crochet something. Hobbies are really important. The thing is that for most people, hobbies are an escape from the day-to-day grind, and there's nothing wrong with that. For me, it was dangerous. It is kind of dangerous for me to have a day-to-day career that I really love and enjoy, because I forget that I even need a break from that occasionally, just to switch up my mind and my neural firing patterns. So for a while, I didn't really understand why I would hit these walls and why I would have burnout. And a small part of that reason is that I didn't give my brain and my body a chance to switch it up. And for me, having something tactile, like coloring while some gentle music is on, or sewing or drawing, is really, really helpful, to just switch certain parts of my brain on, and others that are hardworking off, and put my brain into my fingers and my hands for a change. That's really helped me out a lot, and I really enjoyed exploring those hobbies. Again, I dabbled more this year, but I want to get deeper into those hobbies next year, but it was fun. Another way that I really strove to take care of myself was in developing deep focus. Excuse me. Deep focus for me is, again, the reminder to myself to take projects one thing at a time, go hard on them, finish them, and then move on to the next one. That has been a lesson that I've had to drill into my mind this year, and it has worked extremely well. I'm trying to take that lesson into this coming year to develop more self-discipline around deep focus. This year, I was forced to have deep focus because the projects that I had to do had deadlines that were not my own deadlines, and they were coming one after another after another. So the external force of having these deadlines over me, but sort of forced me, and the fact that these deadlines were consecutive and subsequent, forced me to focus on one project to its completion, then another project, then another project. And I'm going to try to take that into 2019 if possible. But that's something that really helped me to activate my self-care this year. And not only did I feel taken care of by this deep focus mentality, but I also felt like I got a lot more done. So it's amazing how I was able to increase my productivity, but also still feel more relaxed in my self-care and feel more rested at the same time. So deep focus is something I'm definitely trying to bring into 2019, and it really helped me out this year. Another way I took care of myself this year, hiring my village. Sorry, single moms don't have to do it alone. I refuse to do it alone. It's not a natural state of being for single moms to take on raising a child and going to school and working a teaching job and building a business and all by herself. We all need community. We are community creatures. We are social creatures. And that for me includes hiring my village when necessary, or in my other way of saying it is ordering the pizza, right? So if I need somebody to clean the house, I hire that out. If I'm too busy to cook, I order that out. And I have just stopped beating myself up about not being able to be the super mom. I don't want to be the super mom. I just want to be a good mom. And to me, being a good mom, great mom is good enough without wearing the cape. I am ditching the cape. I burned the cape this year, and I have accepted myself as is, and I have hired my village, and I love it. It has done wonders for increasing my level of self-care, which has then trickled down into me being a more present mother and a more active and engaged artist, scholar, worker, teacher, etc. And then the final point of self-care, and you guys are going to be sick of hearing this. Graduate school. It in many ways was a central feature of my life. But I was able to remove a lot of the toxicity that was associated with my tenure here in the years prior. And I did that by literally turning graduate school and its requirements into literal things that I just have to tick off on a checklist of things to do in order to get my degree. Anything else was extraneous and unnecessary. And I stayed as far away from the drama as humanly possible. So for me, that included taking days off and sick days when necessary. I didn't go crazy, but when I just felt overwhelmed and I felt like people were encroaching on my space and things were getting to be too much, I took my day off and I was better. I was good. I didn't feel guilty about it. I didn't give a damn. I did not care. Standing up for myself. Hold on a second. Sorry. My mom is calling and I was not expecting that. Standing up for myself when necessary, but not being the superhero, right? So, standing up for myself basically just means putting up boundaries between myself and graduate school when it was necessary. Whenever we were being asked to do something that either wasn't our responsibility or not within the direct purview of my graduate school experience that I wanted to get, no was the answer. No, 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 with a polite thank you at the end, but it was still a no. And so that was really helpful to kind of keep graduate school in its place and keep me healthy and happy. Um, the other things that I did was that included the fact that I stayed out of graduate school politics. I mean, that's a big thing. People think that going to graduate school is just about the program and about the academics and the extracurriculars, which it is mainly. But unfortunately, there are a lot of bureaucracies, red tape, and politics to navigate in graduate school. Anybody who's gone to graduate school can tell you this, especially if it's a small program. So I'm not trying to point the finger at my program and trying to hate on it. I've actually found this with several graduate programs, and you can find this in business school, law school, definitely law school. There's politics and drama. Oh my goodness. And I just decided to stay out of it. Even with certain issues that I felt very passionate about, I feel like I did a lot of my political service and committee service work for my program in the first 2 years that I was here. It really helped, in my opinion, for me to have a presence and a voice. And this year was the year that I said, I'm done. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for giving me this platform. I said my piece, and now I'm out. Let somebody else fight these battles. And that's it. So there have been multiple instances where I felt that the political drama was creeping up to drag me under, and I was like, nah, I'm good. That's not my problem. That's your problem. That's another thing that I did this year for graduate school, is that I got a little bit more selfish, particularly towards the latter half of the year. In the beginning of the year, as you guys will recall, I put my neck on the chopping block to get not just, myself director credit, but everybody else director credit on the King Arthur production. And I don't say that as a pat on the back, because honestly, I'm not sure if the political fallout after that was necessarily worth it, but the credit was worth it. So I did that, and in advocating for myself, I ended up having to advocate for the entire cohort. And unfortunately, I was made to pay for that in various covert, very high school mean girl ways. And it was very painful and horrible and heartbreaking, as you guys will have recalled from my podcast during that time. And after that, I decided, well, before I even get to that, the most heartbreaking part of it was that I had, in my opinion, done all of this crusading for my fellow colleagues. But when it was time to basically stand up for me, even though I was standing up for myself and it was time to back me up, I heard crickets. So I decided that if I had to fight any battles in the coming semesters after this opportunity, I was going to fight them for me and only for me, since everybody seemed to be out for themselves here, right? And that's what I did, and that's what I've been doing, and that's what I'm going to continue to do, and it's been working out beautifully. It's amazing how people will suddenly find their balls to speak up when they don't have, the vanguard, taking the bullets for them on the front line. I jumped the hell out of the way in this, in certain political wars, and I have done nothing but benefit from that, and it's been wonderful. So the emotional, political, mental recusal that I have taken from graduate school has really helped my self-care and mental health a lot, and I've been a lot happier. And also, I think I've been a better student and a more positive influence. So I say all that to say to you guys, if you guys are forced to work a job that you don't like, or forced to be in a situation you don't like, honestly, just recuse yourself emotionally, mentally, and to a certain degree intellectually. Show up, smile, be polite, do a good job, and just keep working towards the day where you can start your own business, or you become a full-time author or a full-time director, and work towards that. Don't work towards the drama in your workplace. Don't fight battles that do not need to be fought. Don't die on hills that you don't need to die on. Pick your battles, choose your hills, but have your overall strategy as to what it is you are planning to do and what you're trying to get out of this experience. Once I stepped back and I did that for myself this past year, and I actually acted on my military strategy, so to speak, with regard to graduate school, there has been nothing but upside, and it's been great. So that's basically that, guys. That's how I've been taking care of myself this year. And that wraps up my 2018 creative achievements for this year. This year was baller. I can't wait to see what's going to happen in 2019. As a matter of fact, it's already 2019 as of this recording today. It's Thursday, January 3rd, and the year is already going really, really well. I just got a couple of pieces of news that are really helping to, make me forget about this cold and make me forget about this internet problem I have here. And it's really helping 2019 to get off to a great start. And I can't wait to present my 145 goals to you guys for 2019. Crazy, crazy goals that I have coming up. Can't wait to talk to you guys about that and have that up on the blog, the podcast, and on YouTube. But I hope that you guys had an amazing, amazing 2018. I hope you kept it indie, that you kept it badass, and that you created as much as possible. And I really want to encourage you guys to keep creating, keep staying indie, keep staying badass as we go into 2019. So happy New Year to all of you guys. Let's get together and kick ass in 2019, and I will see you guys on the next podcast, which is entitled Creative Goals for 2019. Mwah. See you soon. Happy New Year.